Alright, so I'm about to try and find some classic JRPGs that you can find on the PS4. So yeah, let's start out with Persona 3, because I know that's a famous one right there. Persona 3 basically, made Persona popular, essentially. It started the whole uh, the recipe, the Persona recipe that you see in Persona 4 and 5. So let's see, we got Persona 3, and there's Persona 5 right there, really good game. And 3. Oh shit, put in a G by accident. Oh, my bad. And there we go. And oh, okay. The PS4 only has Persona 3 Dancing, a spin off game that nobody likes and nobody bought. So yeah, it doesn't have the main game. Alright, let's try Persona 4. That game's even more popular than Persona 3. I know it has to be on here. And oh, another another freaking dancing game. Okay. And wow, look at all this. There are some add-ons and stuff. Yeah, yeah. What about the regular Persona 4? You know, the game that made Persona even more popular than it was after 3. All right. All right. Okay, what's another classic JRPG that I can think of? Suikoden. I'm not even sure if I pronounced that one correctly, but Suikoden. That was a pretty popular one. And if you don't know, it's a JRPG from the 90s. I think it was on the PS1 and it had a lot of good positive reviews from critics and audiences. And no, it's not fucking on there unless I misspelled it. Unless I, misspelled it. But yeah, Suikoden's not on the it's not on the fucking PS4 PS store. That's a shame. All right, how about fucking Final Fantasy Tactics? That Final Fantasy Tactics is one of the most beloved tactical JRPGs of all time. You know. Okay, so there's a regular Final Fantasy games right there. You know, the ones that everybody knows about, like Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy Remake, I'm not buying that shit. Final Fantasy 8, that's even worse than the Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Final Fantasy 7, already got it. Final Fantasy Online, that's not a real Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 10, already got it. Final Fantasy 9, already, yeah, I already got that. I thought I didn't have it for a second. Final Fantasy Royal Edition, I already got it. Okay. So it's nice that we got like the big ones on here. Final Fantasy 12, that's also nice to see. Final Fantasy, don't ever fucking play Final Fantasy Type O, and it's a terrible, god awful game. Sorry if I mumbled there for a second, but this game is fucking terrible. Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's look for Final Fantasy Tactics though, because a lot of people will agree that at least story wise, Final Fantasy Tactics is one of the most is one of the best ones out there. Alright, so Tactics. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to put a fucking... No, it's not popping up yet, but it wouldn't be that hard to put a PS1 game on the PS4, would it? Alright, Tactics. And no, it's not on here either. Just a bunch of useless shit. Okay. All right. How about Final Fantasy 6? That one of the most beloved Final Fantasy games out there. Well, 5. Do they have 5? No, they don't have 5, but you can buy it legally on the PS3. But what about Final Fantasy 6? No, it's not on there. Maybe I gotta do it in the Roman numbers. Final Fantasy V I or L? Oh, no, it's not on here. Okay, so PlayStation doesn't give a shit about Final Fantasy 6 right now. What about Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne? That's one of the... Shin Megami Tensei is not as popular as Persona, but Nocturne is one of the big ones that a lot of people like. A pretty challenging game. Let's see, Nocturne. Is it on here? No, it's not on... Wait, is that it? No, that doesn't look like it. Maybe I gotta put in Shin Megami Tensei. Alright, this is gonna be a big one. So Shin. Alright. Okay, so far nothing's popping up for Shin Megami, except for a bunch of useless Persona 5 shit that honestly nobody should care for at all. There's this, but that doesn't look like that's gonna be any good. I don't know. It just feel it's just weird because a lot of these games, a lot of classic JRPGs are available on the PS3. So, it would make a lot more sense if they could just, move those over to the PS4 store, unless they forgot about them or something. All right, let's look for Xenogears. A lot of people say that's a great series, and so far we're just getting dumbass Dragon Ball Xenoverse, which is a terrible game. And Xenogears doesn't look like it's going to be on the PS4 PSN store. And yeah, it's not on here so far. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest problems with the PS4 is that it's a great console. It has a lot of, awesome games and shit. But, it's lacking a lot of classic games that a lot of people like. And I don't really see why it's like that because, they could just easily put the game on a platform. So, anyway, put the old games on a platform. So, anyway, let's try to look through the RPGs to see what kind of good RPGs that the PlayStation 4 has. War Theater, Plague Universe, it doesn't look any good. Looks terrible. Looks terrible. Looks terrible. Looks terrible. All these look pretty terrible so far. And wait. Okay, I thought that was like an anime show or whatever. Looks terrible. Looks terrible. Any Parasite Eve on here? I mean, Final Fantasy 8, trash game, but a lot of people like it. It's good to see. But yeah, a lot of these JRPGs and RPGs that are on the PS4 are just really mediocre. I think the classic Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy 10 are really good games, but those are pretty common. They're available on just about every platform. Borderlands, I heard that was good, but it honestly looks generic. Kingdom Hearts 3 sucks. Let's see. And all these terrible fucking JRPGs that nobody likes. Like none of these games have left a big impact like Final Fantasy Tactics has. And I'm not trying to sound like an elitist or nothing, but objectively speaking, Final Fantasy Tactics is well regarded as a great masterpiece of a game, and all these other JRPGs are just they all look pretty mediocre compared to Tactics or compared to Parasite Eve or compared to Xenogears. A lot of those old classic JRPGs that for some reason had really good writing for the time. I don't really get why, JRPGs back from the 90s and early 2000s had better writing than JRPGs from this decade and the 2010s. But yeah, so far all of these look mediocre. Final Fantasy 15 is a total downgrade story wise compared to the classic Final Fantasy games. Secret of Mana, okay, I heard that was a great one. I'm glad that's here. But yeah, all these look awful. Horizon, I didn't even know that counts as a JRPG or an RPG. I guess it does. I always thought it was more of a third-person action game. Dragon's Dogma, that's on here. Yeah, that's a nice game. Not as good as Witcher 3, though. And let's see, another Final Fantasy game right there. Popular one, Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 12, in my opinion, is kind of boring gameplay-wise, but I think it has a lot of... But I wouldn't consider Final Fantasy 12 to be objectively bad. Mass Effect... okay. it's unavailable. Mass Effect Andromeda. I was about to say, oh god, not that. That was worse than Mass Effect 3. Kingdom Hearts, yeah, that's nice to see. I would say Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are the only good Kingdom Hearts games worth playing. The other Kingdom Hearts games are terrible story-wise. It's pretty fucked up how Mickey knew about Aqua. Like, he technically knew about Aqua for years and never told Zora Riku about it until the last minute. Ys, that's nice to see. That's actually pretty underrated right there. If I had to compare Ys to something, it would probably Um, I would say this game is like Zelda, but with a lower budget, and it looks more anime. I think Ease is okay. I respect Ease. I just don't think it's really as good as Zelda. It's a third person adventure. I mean, nah, not third person. It's a classic adventure action game. And you just go around fighting monsters and exploring dungeons and all that kind of shit. And, just like with Zelda, you can just about jump into any Ease game without having to play the previous entry, except for probably Ease 1 and Ease 2. I would say Ease 7 is a good start, but that's trapped on the PSP right now. Neo, a lot of people compare this one to Dark Souls, and honestly, it's not as good. Tales of Berseria, I hear that's like edgelord type shit right there. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to find some really good JRPGs on the PS4 because I found a lot of good ones on my PS3. Let's see, Witcher. Yeah, that's good. It's nice that it's $14 now. Oh, Valkyria Chronicles. Okay, that's actually nice to see. Yeah, I actually purchased this a while back, and Valkyria Chronicles is a great. Uh, there was clearly a lot of effort and thought put into this game. Well, no, not thought. It's actually a pretty typical story, but there was a lot of heart put into it. And yeah, it's pretty underrated. Valkyria Chronicles 1 is probably the only successful Valkyria Chronicles game. Nobody gives a shit about Valkyria Chronicles 2 or 4. And Valkyria Chronicles 3, I hear that was the probably one of the better ones, but it's trapped on a PSP and it never came to America because Valkyria Chronicles 2 didn't sell too well. And I guess the people figure, well, and nobody bought Valkyria Chronicles 2 on the PSP, then they're not going to release Valkyria Chronicles 3. And honestly, that's actually really sad. And I actually said nobody gives a shit about Valkyria Chronicles 4. That's actually wrong. Valkyria Chronicles 4 actually has a lot of positive feedback, but barely anybody bought it. So, and the cool thing about Valkyria Chronicles 4 is that it actually goes back to the classic Valkyria Chronicles style because Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 are different from the first one. But yeah, I think it's really unfortunate that the first Valkyria Chronicles is the only one that was successful. Oh shit, there's Disgaea. Okay, that's nice to also see here. I got that one. That's also available on Switch. And yeah, it's a cool series. Another series that has a lot of heart put into it. There's a lot of voice acting. There's a lot of uh, characters that are all goofy and quirky and have pretty likable personalities. If you're an anime person, I think you'll like this Gaia. Only problem I have with this Gaia though is that it's grindy as fuck. All right, there's Elder Scrolls. I'm like fuck that. Let's see. Yeah, but so far most of these JRPGs just look like typical stuff. Bloodborne, that's actually nice. That's probably the best from Soft game right there. And yeah, that's about it. So the PS4 doesn't really have a lot of good classic JRPGs that you can find on the PS1. Um, Anything else I gotta say? Well, there's no. Well, let's try finding Dragon Quest 8 on the PS2, the PS2 version of Dragon Quest 8. All right, Dragon. I honestly doubt it's gonna be on here. I mean, if it's on here, that would be fucking awesome because, I always prefer buying games legally, but you know, when a game's not available, that's when people turn to emulation, and I can understand why because there's no other way to buy the game. All right, so Dragon Quest, Jesus Christ, I can't even Quest. Oh, damn it! Come on, like see, it's not popping up here. I gotta put it in manually. All right, Dragon Quest. All right. All right, so Dragon Quest 11, that's a great game right there. It basically is it's really popular because this was Dragon Quest 11 is just a huge improvement over Dragon Quest 9 and 10. It it goes back to that classic way and whatnot, and the graphics look amazing. Thing is though, Dragon Quest 11 on the PS4, it's a great game, but the Switch version is a million times better. So there's really no point in buying this unless you, unless you damn, I'm sorry, I'm tired right now. There's no point in buying this unless you don't own a Switch. If you own a Switch, you might as well go for the fucking Switch version, because that one has a bunch of improvements and more content. Dragon Quest Builders. Who gives a fuck about Dragon Quest Builders? That shit is boring as fuck. But okay, let's try finding Dragon Quest 8, because that's a... Dragon Quest 8 is important because even though it might not be the best Dragon Quest game, it did attract a lot of people to the franchise. Because up until Dragon Quest 8, most Dragon Quest games are pretty much ignored by the West. And Dragon Quest 8 is special because a lot of Westerners found out about it and they liked it. And it's not on the PS4 PSN store, but to be fair, it's not on the PS3 PSN store too. So if you want Dragon Quest 8, you'll either have to go find a fucking PS2 somewhere and find a copy somewhere. Maybe you can buy it offline and play it that way. Or you get a 3DS and get the 3DS version. But you know, the 3DS is like a fucking small screen, so who wants that? And you know, that's also kind of sad. I think they should really re-release Dragon Quest 8 and put it on, you know, a console or something like that. Same for Persona 3 and 4, because Persona 4 Golden, that shit is still trapped on the PS Vita. And the PS Vita doesn't have many good games on it. I would even say that Persona 4 Golden is the only good PS Vita game. And I'm probably going to piss off people by saying that, like, but you know, it's true though. Let's see, any other class? Okay, how about Parasite Eve? Parasite Eve, you know, that's another classic one right there that a lot of people liked. You know, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna be on here. Oh yeah, Parasite Eve is not on the PS4 PSN. And that's also pretty depressing. Like I've been saying, damn it, I'm stuttering. Like I keep repeating this point over and over again, but the PS4 doesn't have many good JRPGs on it. All right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it has Persona 5 Royal and Dragon Quest 11, and those are great games. But really, the PS3 has more JRPGs available on it that you can buy legally. And yeah, I only posted this video because y'all were telling me, oh man, the PS4 has so many uh, JRPGs on it. And I'm like, yeah, it does have a lot of JRPGs on it, but you can immediately just look at the cover of these and tell that most of them were fucking mediocre, or that most of them aren't as good as, you know, the classic JRPGs. And that's really all I got to point out. Okay, bye.